Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. So here we are going to deal with organizations which are important from the prelims perspective. The number of organizations is actually very vast and very wide topic it is. So to finish it off in a single go will only amount to making a little too confusing. So what I have done is I've gone for the again very conventional PowerPoint here so that we will cover at least 6 organizations in every part so that it becomes easier for you also to study. So I suggest you grab a pen and paper and take a note of these organizations what we are going to discuss. Without any further delay, let me introduce you to the first organization here, which is IUCN. Now, IUCN is something which we have already seen. So very quickly, I will tell you. We know that it is from the year 1948. It is a combination of government and NGOs. It is neither a part of UN nor a member. All right, keep that in mind. IUCN is responsible for releasing the red list, which talks about the vulnerability or the critical endangeredness status of various organisms. So, right from the not evaluated, data deficient, least concern, near threatened, vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, extinct in the wild, extinct. So these are the categories of the red list. All right, just keep it in mind. We never know in case UPSC asks it. Just keep it in mind. Moving on to the next organization, which is United Nations Environment Program. Again, this is something which you are familiar with already. Came about in the year 1972. It was a result of the Stockholm Conference, UNCHE, which is Conference on Human Environment. It is a UN agency. No major surprises here because UNEP, in the word itself you can find UN there. Then it is the implementation agency for GEF, Global Environment Facility, and Multilateral Fund for Implementation of Montreal Protocol. So one thing, the funding part, various organizations that are responsible for funding and for what purpose it is, like you have GCF, GEF, etc. So all these things I'll be taking again in a separate video exclusively on funding. All right, so don't worry about that. So keep it in mind. Prelims perspective, just keep this one point here. This is very important. International Cyanide Management Code was developed under the aegis of UNEP. UPSC can ask a question saying that it was developed under Wassenaar arrangement. Sherlock Holmes among you people will definitely feel, okay, Wassenaar is to do with chemical. Cyanide is a chemical. Therefore, the statement is true. And that is where you will come back for another attempt again. So basically, don't use your Sherlock Holmes brains. Sherlock Holmes brains has to be kept locked in your cupboard. Alright, don't use it here. Only if you know the facts, only then attempt the question. Alright, so remember, UNEP developed International Cyanide Management Code. Alright, moving on to the next organization, which is UNEP's TEEB. TEEB basically stands for the Economics of Ecosystem and Biodiversity. It was a study led by Pawan Sukhdev from the year 2007 to 2011. It basically talks about making nature's value visible. That is what is the importance of ecosystem in economic growth. That is what it says. Just keep this in mind. TEEB comes under UNEP. Moving on, UN-RED. UN Program on Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. 3 organizations are involved there: FAO, UNDO. FAO is Food and Agricultural Organization, UNDO is United Nations Development Organization, UNEP we have already seen. These 2 organizations we will be seeing pretty soon. Created in response to the Bali Action Plan. Bali Action Plan basically talked about the quantified emission limitations. That is how much of emissions you are supposed to limit yourself to for each country. Alright. So UN-RED was created in response to it. And basically this is the goal of it. That is, it partners with developing countries to support them in establishing the technical capacities needed to implement RED Plus and meet UNFCCC requirements for RED Plus result-based payments. I know it is a little too hectic to read, but just read it. All right, so it is basically it develops capacities to needed to implement what? RED Plus. So this is RED, UN-RED. What is RED Plus? So RED Plus talks about reducing emissions from deforestation, forest degradation. That part is simple. So what is the plus factor here? The plus factor is forest carbon stock, enhancement of forest carbon stock. It is a voluntary climate change mitigation approach developed by parties to the UNFCCC, which came out of Rio Earth Summit or Agenda 21. All right. So that is what it is. It goes beyond deforestation and forest degradation. It talks about conserving forest carbon stocks. All right. Moving on, UNDP. It is UN's Global Development Network. Okay. It provides expert advice, training, and grant support to developing countries with increased emphasis to least developed countries. Now, UPSC won't ask you this point here. I will write it and give it to you. UPSC won't ask because this is something which anybody can guess. What is the important point here you have to understand is UNDP India's country program for 2018-22 has 3 focus areas. Which are those areas? Inclusive growth, environment and energy, and strengthening system and institutions. That is your potential prelims question right there. UPSC can give these 3 as 1, 2, 3. Which among the following are part of UNDP's India's country program? If you know the answer, the option will be all the above. If you don't know the answer, better leave it. Don't even try to hazard a guess. Next, UNDP has launched its Accelerator Lab in India in collaboration with AIM, which is Atal Innovation Mission. Accelerator Lab is the product of UNDP plus Germany plus Qatar. Okay, just keep it in mind. This is straight away from current affairs. All right, with that we come to the end of today's video. Yes, I have only given you 6 organizations here. The purpose is as the video gets over, you should also remember what these 6 organizations are. Limited, little we will give. Divided, the organizations will fall. Together, if I give you all the organizations, you will get confused. So 6 organizations we have completed. Further 6 will come to you in part 2. Okay, people, take care. Have a nice day. Study well.